I opened the box, and my engagement ring was gone. At first, I thought I was losing my mind, but then I saw the look on my sister's face. Smug, unbothered. And that's when I knew. She had taken it. But what she didn't realize was that this would be the biggest mistake of her life. Because what happened next? No one could have predicted. And trust me, you don't want to miss this. I woke up that morning with a sense of excitement that only a bride-to-be could understand. The day before my wedding, my nerves were running high. But there was this overwhelming sense of joy that filled the air. I had everything ready. My dress, my vows, and the man I was about to marry. The love of my life, James. He was everything I had ever wanted. Our engagement had been a whirlwind, but everything had fallen perfectly into place, as if the universe had decided it was our time. As I walked into the room, the sunlight was pouring in through the windows, casting golden beams onto the things that were important to me. The flowers, the bouquet I had spent hours picking out, and then, of course, the ring. I walked over to the vanity, my heart light, a smile playing on my lips as I reached for the velvet box that contained my engagement ring. James had proposed 2 months ago in the quiet elegance of the park where we first met. The ring had been his grandmother's, passed down through generations, and when he gave it to me, it felt like a promise. A beautiful, simple promise that our love would endure, just like the generations before us. The diamond was stunning, more beautiful than anything I had ever imagined. It was delicate yet bold, just like the love we shared. As I opened the box to check on it one last time before the big day, I froze. My heart skipped a beat. The box was empty. My breath caught in my throat as I stared at the empty space. No ring. My stomach twisted into knots. It couldn't be. I had just seen it the night before, safe and sound in its velvet bed. I closed my eyes, willing the panic to recede, but it didn't. I opened my eyes again, my pulse racing, scanning the room for any sign of where it could have gone. I checked the bed, the bathroom, the drawer in the dresser, everything. The ring was nowhere to be found. It didn't make sense. I had spent hours carefully placing it in its safe spot, making sure it wouldn't get lost in the chaos of wedding preparations. I looked at my phone, praying for some kind of rational explanation, but the only thing I could hear was my racing heartbeat. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. This had to be a mistake. Maybe I had misplaced it in the hustle of the last few days. Maybe James had taken it for some last-minute adjustment. But something gnawed at the pit of my stomach. I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just an accident. Then, I saw her. Lily, my younger sister. She stood in the doorway of my bedroom, watching me with a look that I couldn't quite place. She was leaning against the frame, arms crossed, a sly smile tugging at the corner of her lips. I instantly felt my chest tighten. I hadn't seen her all morning, but here she was, standing in the doorway, like she had been waiting for this exact moment. The tension between us wasn't new. It had been there for years, bubbling under the surface, even when we both tried to pretend it didn't exist. But today, it felt different. It felt dangerous. Lily, have you seen my ring? My voice was steadier than I expected, but the words seemed to hang in the air, heavy with suspicion. She paused for a moment, her expression unreadable, before she shrugged casually. What ring? Her voice was smooth, too smooth, and I could hear the faintest tremor of something beneath the surface. Guilt, maybe, or something worse. I stood there, the reality of the situation beginning to sink in. My sister had always been the competitive one, the one who wanted everything I had. It wasn't that she wanted to take everything from me, but she never could stand being in my shadow. From childhood to adulthood, we had fought for attention, approval, and love. I had always thought it was harmless rivalry, but now, staring at her, I wasn't so sure. Lily, I said, the words escaping before I could stop them. I'm not stupid. Where is it? Her eyes flicked to the floor, and for a moment, I thought I saw a flicker of something, maybe fear, or was it regret? But it was gone as quickly as it came, replaced by that smug little smile she always wore when she thought she had the upper hand. She took a step closer, her voice lowering, as if she were sharing some great secret. Maybe it's not where you think it is. I felt a chill run down my spine as the weight of her words hit me. The air seemed to thicken, the tension palpable. My breath came in shallow bursts as my eyes narrowed at her. Something was terribly wrong. Lily, what did you do? I barely recognized the calmness in my own voice, but I had to hold it together. If she had taken my engagement ring, if she had stolen it? I didn't do anything, Em. I'm just here, she said, her words trailing off as if she was trying to act like nothing had happened. But her eyes, those eyes, betrayed her. They were too bright, too eager. I could see the fear behind them now, but it was tinged with something darker. I knew something had happened, and deep down, I knew who was responsible. My fingers clenched around the edge of the vanity as I took a slow, measured breath. Every nerve in my body was screaming, demanding I lash out, demand the truth, shake her until she admitted what I already knew. But I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me unravel. No, not yet. Lily? I said again, my voice sharper this time. Stop playing games. Where is my ring? She tilted her head slightly, her lips curving into a smirk, as if she found my distress amusing. My jaw tightened. I had seen that look before. So many times, in so many ways. The look she wore when she beat me in a school debate and made sure I knew it. The look she gave me when she borrowed my clothes without asking and then claimed they were practically hers because I barely wore them. The look she had when she got away with things, when she knew no one would hold her accountable. But this wasn't a dress or a school competition. This was my engagement ring. This was my future. Relax, Emma. You're acting like I robbed a bank. She leaned against the dresser, inspecting her nails as if we were discussing the weather. It's just a ring. A sharp, cold rage slithered through me. Just a ring. The words rattled in my head like a taunt, like she was daring me to lose control. It's not just a ring, I said, each syllable measured, my voice deadly calm. It's my engagement ring. It belonged to James's grandmother. It's irreplaceable. She scoffed. Oh, please. Like you actually care about the sentimental part. You've always wanted something flashy, something people would admire. Isn't that what this whole wedding is about? A big show? My breath caught in my throat. The audacity. The sheer gall of it. Are you serious right now? My voice was lower, almost a whisper, but it carried the weight of my fury. Lily, you've pulled a lot of things over the years, but this is different. I don't know what your problem is, but I need you to tell me where my ring is. Now. She sighed dramatically, pushing off the dresser. God, you're so uptight. I watched as she walked across the room, slow and deliberate, like she had all the time in the world. She picked up a small glass bottle of my perfume from the vanity, twirling it between her fingers like it was suddenly the most fascinating thing in the world. Do you even love him? She asked suddenly, her tone quieter now, almost contemplative. I blinked. The question hit me like a slap. What? Her gaze met mine, and for the first time, I saw something in her expression that wasn't smugness or defiance. It was something else, something raw. Do you love James? She repeated. Or is this just another thing you're winning at? I stared at her, utterly speechless. Of all the things I had expected her to say, that wasn't on the list. This isn't about you, I said, shaking my head, disbelief washing over me. This isn't some competition, Lily. This is my life. She let out a short laugh, but there was no humor in it. Isn't it always a competition? You've always been the one who had it all figured out. The perfect grades, the perfect job, the perfect fiancé. And me? She gestured vaguely at herself, her voice dripping with bitterness. I'm just the screw-up. The one who doesn't get it right. The one everyone has to worry about. A heavy silence settled between us. I could hear the faint hum of the air conditioning, the distant sound of a car passing outside. The weight of her words pressed against my chest, unexpected and suffocating. "Lily," I started, but she cut me off. "I wanted to see if you'd even notice," she admitted, dropping the perfume bottle onto the dresser with a small clink. "If you'd even care that it was gone." My stomach dropped. "So you did take it," I said, my voice eerily calm, though my hands were shaking at my sides. She hesitated, but then ever so slightly she nodded. "Yeah, I took it." For a brief, fleeting second, I thought she was going to tell me where it was, that she was about to apologize, or at the very least try to justify herself. But then she smirked. "But you'll never find it." My breath hitched, my chest tightening. My sister had stolen my engagement ring, and now she was making it clear she wasn't about to give it back. This wasn't just jealousy. This wasn't just pettiness. This was something worse, and I had no idea just how far she was willing to go. A slow, suffocating silence settled between us. My mind struggled to process what she had just said. "You'll never find it." The words echoed in my head like a taunt, like she was daring me to unravel. A cold dread crept up my spine. This wasn't just a childish prank. This wasn't just Lily being difficult or envious. This was something calculated, something meant to hurt me. My hands curled into fists at my sides. "Breathe, Emma. Don't lose control. Don't let her win." "You stole my ring," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. The weight of those words felt heavier than I expected. "And now you're refusing to give it back?" Lily just shrugged, her expression infuriatingly indifferent. "I didn't refuse," she said, examining her nails like we were discussing dinner plans. "I just said you wouldn't find it. There's a difference." I took a slow step forward, my pulse hammering in my ears. "Lily, I swear." "What?" she interrupted, tilting her head slightly. "What are you going to do, Emma?" "Call Mom? Call the police?" She let out a soft, taunting laugh. "Go ahead. Tell everyone your little sister stole your engagement ring. Let's see how that plays out." My breath hitched in my throat. She wasn't wrong. Telling our parents would only make things worse. They had always been quick to defend Lily, dismissing her selfishness as growing pains or just the way she is. It had always been that way. Lily made the mess, and I was expected to clean it up. And calling the police? That wasn't an option. I exhaled slowly, forcing the storm inside me to settle. "Where is it?" Lily's smirk grew. "Why does it matter so much to you?" she asked, her voice suddenly softer. "It's just a ring, right? A piece of jewelry? If James really loves you, why should a little ring be that important?" I stiffened. "She's trying to bait you. I knew her game. She wanted me to snap, to lose my composure, to make this about something bigger than the ring itself. But this wasn't about the ring. It was about control. She was testing me, pushing me, waiting to see how far she could take this before I broke. I refused to give her the satisfaction. "You don't get to decide what's important to me," I said evenly, meeting her gaze. "And you sure as hell don't get to take something that isn't yours just to prove a point." Lily's expression flickered, just for a moment. Doubt? Regret? I wasn't sure. But then, as quickly as it came, it was gone. She turned away, casually strolling toward the door. "You'll figure it out," she said over her shoulder. "Or you won't. Either way, it's out of my hands now." The room suddenly felt smaller, the walls closing in on me. "What does that mean?" I asked sharply. She paused in the doorway, just long enough to glance back at me. "Let's just say," she murmured, "you might want to check with James." My breath caught. "James?" Lily disappeared down the hall, her laughter trailing behind her like the final strike in a brutal game. I stood frozen, my mind racing. What the hell was she talking about? James had nothing to do with this. He would never. Would he? A cold uncertainty settled in my chest. I had to find out. And I had to find my ring. Before it was too late. I stood there, my heart pounding against my ribs. The air in the room felt thick, suffocating, like I was being strangled by my own thoughts. James? Why would she mention him? What was she trying to do? I grabbed my phone, my fingers trembling as I scrolled to his name. My thumb hovered over the call button, but I hesitated. What if she was just messing with me? What if this was another one of her twisted mind games, another attempt to make me doubt the one person I trusted most? But what if she wasn't? I took a shaky breath and dialed. The phone rang once, twice, 3 times. Then, finally, his voice. "Hey babe, what's up?" I swallowed hard, trying to steady myself. "James," I said, my voice coming out tighter than I intended. "I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." A pause. "Of course. What's wrong?" I gripped the phone tighter. Did she give you something? My ring?" Silence. It stretched out between us, heavy and unbearable. Then, finally, "What?" His voice was sharp, startled. "Emma, what are you talking about?" I felt my stomach drop. I knew James, knew his voice, his tells. And this wasn't a man caught in a lie. This was a man who was genuinely confused, which meant Lily had lied. Again. I squeezed my eyes shut, a fresh wave of anger rolling through me. I had let her get into my head. She wanted me to doubt him, wanted me to spiral, and I had almost let her win. "Emma?" James's voice softened. "What's going on?" I exhaled slowly, forcing myself to stay calm. "My ring is missing," I said, my voice low. "And Lily, she admitted to taking it, but now she's playing games, trying to make me question everything." A sharp intake of breath. "She what?" "She won't tell me where it is," I said. "She just keeps messing with me. And then she threw your name into it like you had something to do with it." James was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was laced with barely restrained anger. "I swear to you, Emma, I have nothing to do with this. But I'm coming over. Now." I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. "Okay." I hung up, my hands shaking. Lily. She was enjoying this. She had wanted me to panic, had wanted me to turn on James, to let my mind spiral into a storm of doubt. I wasn't going to let her win. I stormed down the hallway, my feet hitting the hardwood floor harder than necessary. My parents were downstairs, chatting with some relatives who had arrived early for the wedding. I could hear their laughter, the clinking of glasses, the hum of normalcy. I envied them, because up here in this house, things were anything but normal. I found Lily in the guest room, sprawled across the bed, scrolling through her phone like she didn't have a care in the world. My blood boiled. "You lied," I said, stepping into the room. She didn't even look up. "Be more specific." I clenched my jaw. "You made me think James had my ring." A slow smirk curled across her lips. "Did I?" I sucked in a breath, forcing myself to stay calm. "Lily, enough. I'm done playing your games. I don't care why you took it. I don't care what sick little thrill you're getting out of this. I just want my ring back." She finally looked up, her eyes gleaming with something I couldn't quite place. "You really don't get it, do you?" I crossed my arms, my patience running razor thin. "Oh, please, enlighten me." She sat up slowly, swinging her legs over the side of the bed. "I took your ring," she said, her voice unnervingly casual. "And I meant what I said. You won't find it." A cold knot formed in my stomach. "What did you do with it, Lily?" She stood, taking a slow, deliberate step toward me. "Maybe it's in this house. Maybe it's not. Maybe someone already has it and you don't even know." She leaned in slightly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe it's gone forever." A slow, creeping dread wrapped around me. She was lying. She had to be. right? I opened my mouth, ready to demand the truth, ready to shake it out of her if I had to. But before I could, the doorbell rang. James. My breath hitched. Lily's smirk widened. Oh, this should be fun. I turned on my heel and stormed down the stairs, my pulse hammering in my ears. I didn't know what was about to happen, but I knew one thing. I was about to get to the bottom of this, one way or another. I reached the front door in seconds, my pulse pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. My fingers trembled slightly as I yanked it open, and there he was, James, standing on the porch, his expression a mix of concern and barely restrained anger. Where is she? His voice was tight, controlled, but his eyes burned with frustration. I stepped aside, letting him in. Upstairs, but James. I placed a hand on his arm, grounding both of us for just a moment. She's playing games. She's trying to get inside my head. He exhaled sharply, running a hand through his dark hair. She stole your ring, Emma. This isn't just some petty argument. That's my grandmother's ring. Our ring. I nodded, my stomach twisting. I know, and she won't tell me where it is. James clenched his jaw and turned, heading for the stairs. I followed him, my heart hammering. Lily was waiting for us. She stood in the hallway, leaning against the wall like she had been expecting this moment. Oh, look, she mused, her eyes flickering over James. Prince Charming is here. James didn't waste time with pleasantries. Where is it? His voice was sharp, the kind of tone I had only heard him use when he was truly furious. Lily raised an eyebrow, feigning innocence. Where's what? James took a step closer, his entire body radiating tension. Don't do this, Lily. She smirked. Do what? I swear to God, he ground out. If you don't tell us where the ring is. What? Lily interrupted, tilting her head slightly. You'll do what, James? Threaten me? Yell at me? Oh no, how scary. I could feel James vibrating with barely contained fury. I placed a hand on his arm again, gently, trying to keep him from snapping. Lily noticed, and she loved it. Oh, come on, she said, laughing lightly. Isn't this fun? Watching you two squirm? Watching perfect little Emma lose her mind? I inhaled sharply. This isn't a joke, Lily, she shrugged. Feels like one. My patience snapped. You want attention? I said, my voice cutting through the air like a blade. Fine. You've got it. You've got all of it. But let me tell you something, Lily. This doesn't make you powerful. This doesn't make you special. This makes you pathetic. Her smirk wavered. Just for a second. But I saw it. I pressed on. You've spent your whole life trying to turn everything into a competition. You can't stand the idea that I might be happy, that I might have something real. So instead of dealing with your own issues, you decided to steal my ring. Not because you want it, not because you need it, but because you wanted to hurt me. Silence. Lily's hands clenched at her sides, her jaw tightening. I had struck a nerve. Where is it? James's voice was cold now, devoid of any patience. Lily swallowed. The bravado in her eyes flickered just slightly. Then she let out a short, bitter laugh. You really think I'm just going to hand it over now, after all this? I exhaled, shaking my head. I think you're running out of options. She scoffed, opening her mouth to argue. But then, from behind us, another voice cut in. I think it's time you told them the truth, Lily. We all turned. My father stood at the top of the stairs, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. But his eyes were filled with disappointment. Lily froze. For the first time, I saw her face pale slightly. Dad, she started, but he held up a hand. No more excuses, no more games. His voice was firm, unyielding. Tell them what you did. Lily looked away. Now, Lily. A long, heavy pause. Then, I threw it away. My breath caught in my throat. James stiffened beside me, My father's face darkened. What did you just say? Lily lifted her chin slightly, but I could see the panic creeping in. I got rid of it, she said, her voice quieter now. You all act like it's some priceless treasure, but it's just a stupid ring. So yeah, I got rid of it. The air in the room shifted. James's entire body tensed, his hands curling into fists at his sides. I felt like the floor had dropped out from under me. You threw it away? My voice came out strangled. Lily exhaled, her mask cracking now, showing the insecurity underneath. Yeah, and guess what? You'll never find it. For the first time in my life, I wanted to hate her. I wanted to scream, to break something, to make her understand what she had done. But then, a buzz, a vibration against the silence. I looked down. My phone. A message. From my mom. I clicked it open, barely able to process the words at first. Found this in the trash outside. Is this your ring? An image loaded beneath the text. My engagement ring, covered in dust and dirt, but unmistakably mine. My legs nearly gave out. I lifted my head slowly, looking at Lily. Her lips parted slightly, eyes wide. She hadn't expected me to find it. She had wanted me to think it was gone forever. James let out a low, humorless laugh. Wow. His voice was tight with restrained anger. You really threw it away. Lily didn't say anything. My father sighed heavily, rubbing his temples. Lily, you are going to apologize to your sister now? No. My voice came out firm. Everyone turned to me. I exhaled slowly, staring at Lily, at the sister who had spent her life trying to break me. I don't want your apology, Lily, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. Because I don't believe it. And because I don't need it. She blinked. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. I used to think that if I just tried hard enough, if I was patient, if I was kind, if I let things go, you'd finally stop trying to tear me down. But I see it now. You don't want a sister. You want an enemy. And I'm done playing along. A beat of silence. Lily looked like she wanted to say something, to argue. But for once, she didn't. I turned away. James slipped his fingers through mine, his grip warm and steady. My father was still scolding Lily, his voice thick with exhaustion. But I was already tuning it out. I had my ring, I had James, and I had finally let Lily go. Some battles weren't worth fighting. Some people weren't worth chasing, and I wasn't about to let her steal another second of my happiness.